Here we are at the garage, Performance Parts and Accessories here in Huntsville, Ontario. The MBRP factory is right in front of me, and RattleTrap is right here behind me. You know what? We've had a lot of fun building, designing, wheeling, and ultimately having some fun with social medias here with RattleTrap. It's been a great project. And you know what? I thought I'd just do a wrap-up video. As most of you know, the social media guys here, you know that I've sold RattleTrap. It's going to a buyer named David in the Dominican Republic, and a lot of the finishing of RattleTrap has been taken part over the last 2-3 months here, and a lot of the finishings have been what David has been looking for in an off-road vehicle. So I thought I'd just take a few minutes for everybody to do a quick run-through of what RattleTrap consists of as far as parts, maybe who supplied them, who did some of the work on the Jeep, and just a quick summary of what RattleTrap is all about. So we'll start at the front. You know what, I'm sitting here fondling an Off-Camber Fabrications light bar, bumper, D-ring mounts. Off-Camber Fabrications is a sister company to MBRP, so all of these components right here are built right here at the factory at MBRP. You can get Off-Camber Fabrications in all the cool, most up-to-date four-wheel drive and Jeep shop and accessories across North America. Hidden in the bumper, we built a winch bumper. This is our stubby winch bumper. Obviously, our buddies at Ramsey have hooked us up with a Ramsey winch and all the accessories needed for RattleTrap. You know what? Lighting quickly. As we run through RattleTrap, you're going to see a ton of Rigid Industries lighting. On all of the projects that I've been involved in for MBRP, we've used rigids from the early days, and we've used rigids today. We've used rigid on RattleTrap, obviously. And I have 3 vehicles right now that we're building for SEMA this year. Guess what? They have rigids on all of them. So, long story short, quick shout out to my buddies at Rigid. Thanks for a great product, and we love using them on RattleTrap as well. Speaking of lighting, JW speaker. Anybody's got a Jeep, they want some killer lighting, it's just the way to go. Really high-end lighting. They look cool, they work cool, they're very, very efficient, effective, and a big thank you and a shout out to the guys at JW Speaker. You know what? Let's whip around the side here. If you're looking at Wheelwell, you look at any Wheelwell of RattleTrap, and there's a lot going on. So any given Wheelwell has multiple components and just crazy stuff going on. So starting with Kenny at River Raider hooked us up with his steel JK fenders, both front and rear. Big shout out to Kenny, thanks for the cool product. You know what, they bolt on, they fit, they work well, and they do the trick. This particular setup, they might need to be a little wider to be street legal, but other than that, we love them. You know, we got IBOC hooked us up with springs. IBOC has been supporting MBRP builds from race cars to heavy street machines to a lot of our off-road stuff. We're always lifting or lowering something, and 9 times out of 10, it's our buddies at IBOC that hook us up. We've got a set of rock crawler 2 5/8 coilover shocks in there with remote reservoirs as well. Big thanks to rock crawler. Daystar's got some bump stops in here. Long story short, there's some more components in here than I could even begin to explain. But it is what it is. Here's a neat piece. This is a David, the buyer, again wanted a full snorkel system. So we didn't have one on for ourselves, but he wanted a snorkel set up. So I quickly got in touch with the design department up the hill at MBRP and told them what I wanted, and this is the piece they made up. Really cool. Kind of funny. This is an 8-inch MBRP diesel exhaust tip that we have cut, refabbed, and made into the cold air box. K&N supplied us with a high flow K&N filter, and of course V-band clamps, easy to take apart, strong. I mean, the neat part about this, that snorkel is built to stay. Again, my designers whipped out a couple billet clamps, and away we go. And we can see we've utilized another off-camber part, off-camber windshield light bar mount that we've mounted the snorkel to. Again, you can see Rigid Industries tucked in. We've got the 50-inch light bar, we've got auxiliary lighting both tucked in behind here and off to the side. David, the buyer, again wanted lighting beyond belief on the Jeep, and of course, once again, turned to Rigid. One of the other things, most of the social media guys or any of the show and event people that have seen this Jeep likely recognize it as white. Now, David and I, we put a deal together to line exit. Here at the garage, we also have a Line-X facility that we operate, and we've been Line-Xing Raptors, you know, pickup trucks, and just a lot of cool items. And I pitched it to David about Line-Xing RattleTrap, and it didn't take him long to see the benefits and just the cool factor. I mean, the white was nice, it was bright, but this is just mean. It looks cool. Here's a cool little deal. David wanted to call out RattleTrap, so we were able to do a unique little setup there with RattleTrap lettering, three-dimensional lettering being underneath the Line-X. But all in, I love the look of RattleTrap in Line-X. It's tough, it just looks mean. So great addition. Quickly, more off-camber parts. These are off-camber fabrication rock rails for Jeep JK. These particular ones have been stretched, so just like we stretched the Jeep JK body. But these are basically the same as you can buy at any Jeep and four-wheel off-road shop, ready for any JK. The steps. Before everyone starts yelling and screaming about why there be steps on here, these steps are awesome for in and out of both RattleTrap or any JK. You'd be surprised. Everyone wants to say their Jeep is only for heavy duty off-roading, and I would never put steps on. We sell these by the truckloads. They work great. The neat thing about these steps, you can get in and out, your wife can get in and out, your kids can get in and out, and you can take them off when you're ready to go wheeling. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Again, David wants to be able to take guests for a ride in his new ride, and those steps just made sense. So they're on as we prepare to ship RattleTrap out. Coming back to the back, this is where things get really cool, really busy, fast. A quick pan in here to the rear wheel well, from frame modifications to Daystar bump stop to sway bar end links to limiting straps to fuel tanks to frame reinforcement to shock hoops. I think you get the idea. There's one of everything in here, including, believe it or not, more Rigid Industries rock crawling lights. So I mean, again, there's just everything. This is a great time, I guess, maybe to shout out to Jason at Cat Custom. When you're looking at the suspension, when you're looking at the frame, when you're looking at the cage, Jason at Cat Customs, I had the ideas, I had what I wanted done, and I turned to Jason at Cat to literally build this. So Jason has, you know, really, he's the mastermind behind the fabrication work on RattleTrap. So quick shout out to Jason, great guy, nicest guy to work with. We're actually talking about building another project together. So again, Cat Customs, look them up. They're on Instagram, I'm sure they're on Facebook, and he has a website of some of the cool rides that he's built. So great fabricator as well. So that's a Wheelwell. You know what? I better touch base on the wheel and tire combo. We built Jeeps before, we built lifted trucks, never used Pitbull. I've used many other brands. I have great relationships with many other brands, more street tires that you'd use on a daily street basis. When I started doing digging into rock crawling and just big bad beasts of machine, I was blown away to see how many people were using Pitbull tires, and of that, they were usually the rockers. So we made a quick call to Pitbull, told them what we were doing, and our contacts over there were really quick to get us 5 Pitbull tires set out for this. And obviously, when you put Pitbulls and associate that with a build like this, it wasn't too long before the name Staswork came up, and we made a couple calls to Stasworks. Before long, we had the Staswork wheels, and the Pitbulls made it ready to rock and roll here on RattleTrap. I would never look back. This combo on this particular truck has been just bulletproof. I would use this sort of setup again if we were to build another RattleTrap. Oh, there's a great idea. Should we build another RattleTrap? Stay tuned for that one. Long story short, the back is busy. There's a lot going on. I'm going to start with the easy stuff first. Off-camber fabrications, rear bumper, D-ring mounts, D-rings, all supplied by MBRP, off-camber. Please don't mind my license plate. I'm about to take this for the very last trip. I'm gonna go roll some coal through the main street of Huntsville. We'll make sure we grab that on video as well. Backup camera, that was My buyer, he wanted a backup. You cannot see out the back window of this. He's never driven the Jeep before, so he asked if we get a backup camera on there. It is what it is. I'm sure it'll work fine for him. Let's take a peek inside. There's a lot going on in here. So you're not going to put your ATV in the back. You're not going to put your snowmobile. I don't even think you can really even get a case of beer in the back here anymore. Everything in here is in here for a reason. And most of these components were David's choice, things that he wanted to have in the Dominican Republic and things he wanted on the Jeep. It's a given. High lift jack, cool mounts, finger tight. They're off in minutes. No tools needed. Spare tire, that's a given. It's in your face. It does take two good guys to put this thing up and down when needed. Again, no tools need to take it down. Quickly undo it by hand. You can see we've got a Hero 3 there. A cool little mount that allows us to keep it centered all the time. One of the things for any of you guys, social media, YouTubes, and people that are following myself or MBRP, one of the deals I have with the buyer is we'll be getting videos back. Jake Media will be receiving these. Jake Media does all of my race videos, the MBRP videos, the garage videos, and various social media happenings. But the cool part is we will get, and you will still be able to see RattleTrap wheeling through mud, wheeling up mountainsides. I'm told there's going to be, as he put it, a few Chiquitas associated with some of these off-road wheeling videos as well. So don't think this is the last one. This is just the last one for me. The Hero 3s are always powered by a GoPuck. I'm going to show you those GoPucks inside at a later time, but the long story short, we should get full day videos of David, the Dominican Republic, all his buddies. They have H1s, they have other modded Jeeps, the whole 9 yards, so there's still going to be some pretty cool videos coming. Back to the inside, shotgun box. I don't really need one here in Ontario. I'm told they need it in the Dominican. Nitrous bottle. I always thought, wheeling RattleTrap, this thing pulls hard down the street, pulls hard in the mud, it makes big torque, makes big horsepower, and yet David wanted more. David's got a lot of bikes, David's got cars, David's got other Jeeps, and he's a horsepower freak, so we had to give him more power. Air compressor tanks, feeding a set of train horns by Klein up there. Yes, it's loud. Hopefully I'll fire those up for you later. And then obviously tire fill, it's got to the same tank. They will fill these 44s in a very, very short time. It works out well. Yeah, so we've got exhaust tucked in there, of course, an MBRP 4 to 5 inch stack, and of course nothing but Line-X throughout. So that's the back business side. You know what? What else do we have? Oh, forgot about the Rockford Fosgate speakers here. David wanted inside. We'll talk about audio later, but he wanted to have some external speakers. Picked up these Rockford Fosgate units for him, and they crank. We can be out here having a cold pop, and we got tunes all at the same time. Hijack mount, tallest hijack we can find. It's a really cool mounting. It is simple, no tools needed. Hand crank these off, your jack's good to go. So another cool item that's in the back here is the full aluminum setup for radiator and fans and the whole 9 yards. Griffin Thermal has hooked us up with this setup, and this is another design by Jason at Cat Customs to get the Griffin product in here. You know, we had this setup up in the front and when we first went to Moab, for those of you who've seen the wheeling videos, and you know what, it was fine if we were wheeling, but on the highway it just wouldn't keep up. So what we've done now is put this Griffin product in the back, got bigger fans on it, all the extra tubing allowing for so much more volume. It's absolutely no problem. You can be wheeling at 100 miles an hour, you can be running down the road at 100 miles an hour, works nines. Another cool aluminum product is the tank. Obviously this tank, you'd hardly be able to see it there, but it's fab to fit right in amongst all the suspension, between the frame rails, and that's a cool piece that Boyd Welding fabbed up for us. So a great job. I understand they build a lot of cool tanks for fuel tanks for cool items. That's kind of it in a nutshell for external, what you see. Why don't we jump inside? I'll show you some of the interior of RattleTrap. So here we are quickly inside of RattleTrap. There's a lot going on in here. I've mentioned about the framework and cage work. I mean, a quick scan, you can see the cage in this particular project is absolutely overkill. Great safety. I don't want to do it, but I would not hesitate to be strapped in here if and when this vehicle ever decides to plant itself on its roof. Long story short, the aid in the safety is not only the cage, but you can see Mastercraft RS seating, including Mastercraft harnesses as well. You know what, between the cage, the seating, the harnesses, you're safe as could be in here. Starting at the back quickly, I'm not going to go through how we've lengthened the roof and different odds and ends, but the roof still functions just like a bone stock J key, so it can be removed. The cage actually removes to allow the roof to be removed. But looking back here, you can see we've made a little extra room in here. Behind this panel back here, Line-X coated panel, is XS batteries, full S-Pod wiring harnesses, and just some basic wiring that was needed throughout the Jeep. We use that whole back section behind those Mastercraft seats to locate and hide all of that stuff. David wanted, again, pops on the trail, so we have a 12-volt cooler here. Plug it in, good to go. We've got a mount down here, and that's not going anywhere. Let's get up front to the fun stuff. So RattleTrap twin turbo 12 valve Cummins, as everybody knows. It makes some good horsepower, makes some good torque, so we want to be able to monitor as much as we can the operations of this. So just quickly, a slew of autometer gauges. Again, autometer is kind of the staple of most of our MBRP projects. Autometers hooked us up for 800 horse Shelbys. They've hooked us up for our 1,000 horsepower Colorado Speed project, and many other projects, and RattleTrap just being one of the latest ones. So tack, barometer, boost, fuel, oil pressure, of course got to have a speedometer to keep it legal, and water, a temp as well as volts, all in a custom gauge here. Of course got to have tilt steering on every Jeep. So that's all the basics. I mentioned S-Pod being mounted in the back. We've got S-Pod mounted switches here. We've got switches down here mounted. I'm not going to go through, but I mean, we're switching anything from diffs to lockers to lighting to map lighting, everything. If it can go on and off, we've got switches to do so. Let me see what else. Here's a cool feature that David wanted. We've seen the shotgun box in the back. He wanted to have a box for his 44 that was nice and close and he could easily access. So we've actually cut open the dash and made a fully lockable box that is foam padded, and David's 44 will sit in there. Again, a little different than maybe what we're used to here. If anyone sees this video and they need 100 or so of these, let me know and I'll make you some up. What else do we have? Advanced adapters. Here's a real cool one. Again, built quite a few off-road trucks, we'll say. They're not really as much as the buggies or anything like that. Never had a chance to really use a 2-speed. This is the 3.8 Atlas transfer case. Our friends over there hooked us up. This is a killer piece. For all you diehards, you know how this works. For the guys that are maybe new into four-wheel and off-roading, you got a front axle that you can actuate here, and you got a rear axle here. So you pick high, neutral, or low, high, neutral, or low. Whatever you want, the combinations are endless. Buzzing down the road, obviously we're in too high, leave this in neutral. Some serious off-road, and we're both axles in low, and we're crawling up anything in our path. So if you're going to build a serious off-road buggy, I highly recommend this transfer case from Advanced Adapters. They've really hooked us up here well. You know what? Line-X throughout. The whole tub is Line-X again, keeping heat out, cool in, as well as just dependability, reliability, easily to wash, easily to keep clean. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I guess the one other thing is, believe it or not, once again, Rigid Industries lights throughout. It's we've got lighting up top, we've got lighting in the footwell, we've got red map lighting, we've got every other color, and of course under the rainbow, and of course all supplied by Rigid. So again, one of these switches will turn on various lightings and so on and so forth. Kenwood head unit, firing those Rockfords at the back, and although I don't have them right here, there's no speakers inside. Every passenger inside will be given a headset, and through Bluetooth, any tunes we want to play, any movies we want to play, the whole 9 yards will come through the Bluetooth headset. So no speakers to wire, and no wires hanging off your headset. They're all Bluetooth fired. So that's kind of it on the inside. Lots of fabrication, and yet, you know what, it's pretty plain and simple. Hop in and drive. Let's talk a little bit about suspension and power. I'm going to take you under the hood of RattleTrap, and we'll just quickly go through some of the things. First off, we'll open up the Insanity hood. It's cool, a neat JK part, something unique for the JK crowd for sure. So quickly, we still have to detail the Jeep for the customer before we ship it, but I'm going to show it to you the way it is. You know, it's raw. It's there's a lot of fabrication going under here. I see a lot of people online or social media saying, "Oh, RattleTrap's got a 4BT." Well, looking from here, it sort of looks like it's a 4BT. That's because the last 2 cylinders are inside the cab, basically. So behind that dashwork that we've seen, literally, there's a full steel enclosure where the firewall has been kicked in about a foot, almost a foot, foot and a half, encompassing and closing the last 2 cylinders. But rest assured, as you can see, this is a 6BT. It is a dual twin turbo setup, compound turbo setup from BD Power. You can see the amount of plumbing and structure and frame and cage in order to get intercoolers in order to get a big motor. Remember, I told you that the cooling was up front. You can see the space we have now. In hindsight, I think we would actually bring that motor forward a few more inches if we were doing another one, or when we do another one. But long story short, you know, there's the 12 valve turbos, frame, fabrications. You know, it's basic, a lot of cutting, welding, and grinding, but this is what you end up with in the end. So, you know, good horsepower, good torque, great dependability out of the Cummins. I know a lot of our social media, both Instagram and Facebook, there's Cummins followers. Everybody seems to be all over the 12 valves, and I follow suit. I'm a big fan. Very happy with what this motor, this engine, this setup has really done for us in RattleTrap. So that's the engine bay in a nutshell. Last but not least, actually, we could just sort of touch base on some of the suspension mods and components used. So suspension, basically, what makes this thing run down the highway? What allows it to articulate and you know, put good power to the ground type of deal? Back to Jason Cat Customs. You know, just a brainiac, a lot of great components, and a lot of engineered type items that basically were help make the sum of the parts for RattleTrap. I already mentioned quickly the iBox coils, the Rock Crawler 2 5/8 shocks, PSC steering up front. I just really thankful to the guys at PSC. I couldn't imagine turning these 44 pit bulls with that Cummins weight on the front end, and I can tell you I've been well, between a rock and a hard place, and this setup will still turn this big rubber. So wheeling a Moab, getting stuck in mud, you know, out in the snow. You've seen the videos of it climbing snow drifts and different odds and ends. The PSC steering never lets us down. Another big contributor to RattleTrap build is Curry Enterprises. Curry has hooked us up here with high pinion 60 and Dana 70 for the back. The neat thing about these is they showed up on a crate completely jammed full of axles, the right bearings, the right gear set, everything we wanted and needed to build the RattleTrap project. Here's a neat piece. I posted a picture of these Heim joints way back when. And when you see these off the car and see the size of them, these jimmy joints are just huge. So we've got these big ones, other joints that Summit Machine has hooked us up with. So again, another contributor to RattleTrap, and thankfully for. Check out this thing. Look at the size. Look at the size here on one of the arms. I mean, these things are massive. Like, just fill your whole hand up. So another one last thing on the diff. Eaton actually hooked us up with an electric locker in the front, and hooked us up with a Detroit locker in the Dana 70 at the back. Again, a company that we've dealt with previously. Everybody knows Eaton, make great parts, and they'll have a part for any project you're building. So really thankful to Eaton for that sort of stuff. Dry shafts, I'm not really going to get underneath there, but we always turn to JE Reel. You know what, John hooks us up, gets us the cool parts. They're great parts, they last. I mean, again, 800,000 horsepower street cars, and you know, to this thing turning big rubber and sticky rubber, and those dry shafts just never let us down. Talked about the advanced adapters, the transfer case. That's just a killer setup. What else do we have underneath there? Oh, you know what, to go along with the power side, obviously in order to feed this, we need a great fuel supply. You know, Brad at Fast always hooks us up. So again, a lot of our followers, a lot of my personal followers, and a lot of people I do business with are in the diesel industry. Brad at Fast is just he's a guy that's been around. He's got a great system, a product that works, and he's always ready, willing, and eager to hook up MBRP with any of our builds. So thanks to Brad for a great product and hooking us up.
I'd also like to thank AxleTech International. This is the company that supplied the Portal axles, the gear drives that you see underneath the Dana 60 and Dana 70. AxleTech really stepped up. You hear about portals, you very rarely see portals, and really they're a big part of the Project RattleTrap build. Just gives it greater ability, rock crawling. Really want to say thanks to the guys at AxleTech International. One other company is Autosave Collision. Renee Parent and his team at Autosave are the guys responsible for cutting the body, cutting the frame, you know, massaging the roof of RattleTrap to become literally a piece that fits together, bolts together. In the end, basically building a lot of the metalwork and the fab work for Autosave Collision. So big thanks to Renee and his team as well.
So, you know what, in general, I think that's finally an in-depth look. Hopefully it answers a lot of questions. This is what RattleTrap's all about. You've seen it wheeling in the sun and in Moab. You've seen it wheeling in the winter here in northern Canada. We're about to go out and shoot a little more footage here today. Rolling some coal through Main Street. We're going to do some off-roading a little bit today. And you know what? I just wanted to, before I shipped it out to the new buyer, I wanted to let everyone see what RattleTrap is all about, and hopefully I've covered just about everybody that's helped and been a big part of the build of RattleTrap. You know, a quick shout out to all my staff here at MBRP, from designers to welders, to my staff here at the garage at the store, helping source parts and work with a lot of the suppliers. You know what, I couldn't have done it without all my staff and all my acquaintances that way as well. So it's been a great project. I'm looking forward to the new owner utilizing it and just wheeling it hard. Stay tuned for videos coming from the Dominican Republic, and we'll have to see what's on next for a killer off-road vehicle here to be built at MBRP.